Hi everyone, this is my screencast on how I'm going to be creating a circuit model for a flashlight. So our engineering design process, the first step is going to be the ask. So our question that we're asking is, how can I create a circuit model for a flashlight? For our imagine step, I actually ended up doing some research. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to create using the materials that we were given, as well as I wasn't really sure what other materials I was going to need to add in order for it to work. And then I also was not 100% sure exactly how to create it with what the materials I was given. So I ended up using a website that I have linked there that helped me kind of guide myself into understanding what materials I would need in order for this to be successful, as well as kind of giving me a little bit more a step-by-step process to make sure that I knew my students were going to be able to do it successfully with what I was able, and seeing if I was actually able to produce it myself. So for my plan, I ended up getting the materials that I needed. My computer is being a little bit slow. But as you can see, I have a whole bunch of materials that I needed. I have my pen, I have two brass fasteners, which are kind of hard to see. I have a paper clip, I have a light bulb, I have a paper cup, I have my two batteries, I have the paper towel, not paper towel, actually the toilet paper roll, electrical tape, a cardboard piece, and then my scissors. So I did all of the needed materials, and then I also just looked at my diagram that I was given, that again, my link that I had connected there, that kind of gave me a little bit of step-by-step of what I wanted my actual prototype to look like. So from there, I created it. So the first step that I did was I cut out the actual circle for the light bulb, because I wanted to make sure that that was going to be lining up correctly. I then cut the paper towel roll in half, as you can see, and I have my brass fasteners that are in the middle. And then from there, I took the copper wire that we were given in our material kit, and I put it on both sides of the brass fastener. And then I took the electrical tape and I taped both of the batteries together so that I could make sure that I had the copper wire connecting on both sides, as well as putting it on the actual light itself. So from there, I took the circle that was at the top, and then I made sure that it was cut, but also the light bulb was touching the positive side of my battery. And then I actually taped the toilet paper roll together. And then from there, I put a cup. And then the actual paper clip was supposed to be my switch, but when I tried it the first time, it actually did not work. So I ended up actually having to go back into improve immediately after I was finished with my first attempt. So I did make a couple of modifications, and actually the second time that I made my modifications, it still didn't work. So I ended up doing it the third time, and that's when I was able to be successful. So just a couple of things that I did to improve. So the first thing that I did was my brass fasteners I felt were not in the right place. So I originally had it over here with one over here, and with how the toilet paper roll is, it's circular, so obviously it's going to be difficult for me to connect the paper clip. So I ended up moving the fastener itself. So the first time that I did it, I realized though the reason it wasn't working was my connection. So when I was putting the copper wire together, I found out that part of it was kind of stripped a little bit, so it was barely even connected anymore, and it wasn't producing enough current. So from there, I actually ended up doing more copper wire and redid the majority of the whole entire thing. And the second time that I did it, the copper wire actually came apart from this fastener and was no longer connected the second time around, and kind of stripped again. So that's obviously why it didn't work the second time that I did it. But I also ended up changing the electrical tape to masking tape. The electrical tape just wasn't sticking in comparison to masking tape. And then the third time that I did it, I actually was successful. And as you can see, I was able to light it up when I had my paper clip there. So I did end up making many improvements as I went through. And also, I probably would try to use actual wire in the future. I really had a problem making sure that the wiring wasn't stripping and things like that as I was doing it. So for our design tool, we have our specifications. As you can see, most of them are in the yes category. The only one that's not, that's what would be the design the lesson, integrating and applying important science and math grade level content. I have it as a somewhat. I could technically say that it's somewhat because if I only give the students or let the students see what materials they would need, they would have to figure out that if they have a 3-volt light bulb and they have two 1.5 volt batteries, that they would need two batteries. So it's kind of a somewhat in that way because that's obviously integrating my fractions that they're going to be using because I do teach 4th grade. So, and also, as you know, my actual lesson plan is also attached here. Thanks for listening.